Good evening, everybody. Yes, it's nice to see now people from all across joining in. Why do we do what we do? The entire idea of the skill ambassador that we're trying to do is create awareness. A, number two, bind the like-minded people that we are all across, and what we're trying to do is perhaps be a little early in our times. Skills are the currency of 21st century. SDG is the language that businesses and corporates, Fortune 500 companies want to speak about. And we combining the power of two and hopefully just waiting for a time when schools will need so a lot of school ambassadors. As we do that, we also talking to a lot of people, remodeling the idea of what's the best way to reach out to schools, what's the best model to teach skills, and also SDG awareness. Just in short, as a part of Golden Sparrow, the alternate school that I run in Navi Mumbai, United States Embassy had this program called the Climb Mentors. And I asked the kids to present something out of 60, 70 odd schools that participated in Climb Mentors. Golden Sparrow was also fortunate to be among the 16 schools that were selected. What I realized is these are platforms our children deserve, first to know, then to go, and then to be a part of. And that is what we're trying to do. I can see all of you at different part already working in some capacity or other. We've got our skill members, Usha and Dr. Yasir from Kerala. We've got people, Arifins, all the way from Dhaka. Mumbai has an array of people, including Maharashtra. So we've got Pune, Akola. Soha ma'am is doing some amazing work in Surat. The fact that we are continuously already doing some work, these sessions are just, propping up, making us aware of what is around us. And as I said, we're just preparing ourselves for the opportunity that is just around the corner. Today's session, I'm excited, is because irrespective of what field are you in, you are into wellness, as Tarunu ma'am and Mansoora sir are, you into education, as most of us are in, you are into technology, as I see Darshana ma'am in, you will find some relevance because this is about SDG. I'll hopefully not go around and talk about the SDG goals the way we've learned 1, 2, 3. We'll start having conversations around what makes these SDG goals relevant and why do we need to learn about them. And then perhaps, I'll ask you to just come across and share your perspectives on SDG goal. As always, we'll try to keep it crisp, like keep it brief, hopefully 35 to 40 minutes if the conversation can be around that. And then you chip in between also around the SDG goals that we're talking about. This theme that I've chosen to speak about is called the ChangeMakers. SDG goals have been an integral part the only time that the world has come together and agree on. This is very, very strange. So SDG goals are part of 189 countries who came at the United Nations and said, okay, let's make the world a better place. We have seen the rhinos. All of you seen the rhinos somewhere? Yes? You've seen the glaciers. Have you been perhaps to Shimla and Gulmarg? You've seen the rivers. This is exactly what SDG says. Our kids may not see the SDGs. Our kids may not see the rhinos. The last white rhino died in Africa. Elephants, we've grown up assuming that elephants are around us. I grew up in Andaman Nicobar. I've seen elephants work in the log factory and swim in the oceans. But now, there would be a time, probably 15 years, there'll be no elephant in the world. The only elephants our kids will see are in those DK encyclopedias and National Geography. And that would be a sad part of the life. This is what SDG is all about. Yes, you've been seeing some series of posters that you all have done. So this is a little embarrassing. So I'll quickly run through this one. But hopefully I'll create a poster around each one of you with an SDG goal that you can relate to. There are 17 SDG goals in all. I don't expect all of us to know them. Of course, we are aware of the 17 goals, but your work will take you to primarily 2 or 3 goals that you will become evangelist about. And that is what we'll talk about. Enough of conversation, some content and talking. Okay, how many of you think you're poor? We live in Mumbai. When I see Antil, I already feel poor. So, but now I'll ask a series of questions and tell me if you are poor or not, right? What is poverty according to most of us? So, you are poor if you did not do any of these. So, you were not on social media. In the last 1 week, let's take 1 week as an index. So anyone who visited Instagram, Facebook, Darshana ma'am just spoke about, her spouse talking about the effect of social media. Still, you were in Instagram, most of us were. Forget last week, last night we were there, today morning we were there. Were you there? Yes, no? Give me a thumbs up. So, all right. So there we are. Most of us were. You did not have breakfast today or last 1 week. You skipped a breakfast. We had. Most of us had a, even if it's just a toast and Irani chai and bun maska. The Mumbai people, right? We all had it. Fair enough. You do not own a fridge, a refrigerator. Oh, it is not even a luxury; it is a necessity. Perhaps
Yes.
air conditioners have come to become a necessity, the kind of life we are living in. Or you do not have a toilet that's flushing. Okay, Awatif ma'am, we are not talking about your diet and cheat meals. Please have a healthy breakfast if you're watching the. But yes, skipping breakfast is not good. But yes, all of these, the World Health Organization (WHO), where we take a borrow our life skills also from, says if you have not done these four things, these are four among the many indexes they have. This is where the first goal comes in: no poverty. You actually are poor if you don't own a fridge, and I think that is the best index I can have. We always look at the slums of Mumbai, and probably they are on the social media. They have a mobile phone, but a lot of them do not have fridge. We never thought about it, did we? We never thought, oh, refrigerators, washing machines. This is what no poverty is about. And when we say look at the SDG goals, we look at that. They don't have a toilet, and this is a common menace. This is a common challenge we as a nation, and we will talk about the clean health. That's goal number 6: clean health and sanitation. These are the SDG goals. So next time when we talk about concepts to students, perhaps do not introduce an SDG goal the way it's just talked about. Are you poor? Talk about any one of them, and they will realize that these goals are very, very important. Unless and until you have like Christina, who are very far away in Vasai, you live in a village, then you're really poor. Otherwise, as people are joining and I'm just asking them part of it, this is what we're talking about. Do you know? All my life I thought air was free until I bought a packet of chips, and all of you know what we're talking about, right? COVID told us how valuable air is, and Lay's really reinforced the idea that chips are not, chips may be cheaper, but air is not free. And that is where you start talking about good health and well-being. As we are educators and as we are trainers, we also use these little conversational starters to talk and make people realize the very air that we breathe. In 2 years of COVID, we realized that oxygen cylinders, where people were doing black marketing of the cylinders. The people on the field, they were running helter skelter just to get a cylinder. These are the SDG goals. Okay, very quickly. Now, those who ate anything today, what did you eat today? And we have a revelation for you. All the wellness people, yes, please go ahead. What did you eat today? Anything.
Should I?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Anyone, please go ahead. Oh, we've got some amazing people, right? Vegetable bhindi, right, Madhya, ma'am? That's good. Dal, sabzi, roti. Okay. I think nobody wants to tell us that they went to a restaurant. Okay, Soha ma'am is on salads. Very nice. Asha ma'am, good to see you. Kalpana ma'am, good to see you. There are two people from one from Dehradun, one from Mangalore. It's a lovely group that we have. Okay, curry, chawal, kheer. Fair enough. All of you. Whatever you ate, yes, it could be roti, sabzi. If you're someone like eating cereals, you must have had some part of milk that you joined in. Every one of you had corn in your food. If you went to a McDonald's, oh, you were completely conned. This is zero hunger. This is a goal we are talking about. Today you are corned every day of your life. If you put a small tomato ketchup, there is a corn into it. If you use condensed milk, there is a corn into it. In fact, the entire spectrum of food, I think only the vegans are saved from this, but I don't think anyone I know is a vegan in the circle here. Or perhaps this is what we're talking about. We are not only talking about good health, we are talking about zero hunger, and we also talking about responsible consumption. you know it's not that one McDonald's will make us fat or obese. It's a continuous diet of corn in everything: biscuits, chocolates. You can see the products out here. All my friends in health and wellness, you can relate to what we're talking about. Your cold drink, your fruity, your juices, even if they say it's natural, there is corn into it. How many follow this person called Food Pharma on Insta? If you don't follow, and if you're in health and wellness, all right, I see Avatif ma'am raise a hand. Fair enough. Please find him and follow him. He left his lavish career in United States. Thank you, Madhya ma'am. So he came back to India and he started talking about ingredients. So he used a very important case that came across was his talking about Bonvita. And for all that I know, I thought Bonvita wale to kharab nahi hai, ye to अच्छे लोग हैं. And then he said Bonvita is nothing but one third sugar that you're giving to your child. It's like you're drinking sugar, you're forcing your child. Kalpana ma'am, just go to Instagram and simply put food pharma. He's a young person and he's got legal cases against him by these pharma companies, big diet firms. And what we tried to do that experiment with the kids in the school where they bought these bottles and we said how much sugar into them. And we found out that even jaggery has a lot of sugar. I mean, you can't stay away from it, but this is the SDG goals are part of our growing up, and that is what we're talking about. All right. So, just where do these goals go? I'm talking about random goals, one, two, three so far that I spoke about. I'll give you a small story and we'll open the conversation around these goals. This story goes long, long back, almost close to 1914 and 19. What happened? One of the biggest event happened in 1914, which is the World War One, right? And there was a World War Two happening. This particular story is at Christmas Eve in World War One, where you remember the story. We had the Nazis on one side called the Axis power. We had the British, the French on the other side. They were called the Allies. And this time, the Germans and the British and the French, they were fighting this war on the eve of Christmas. Almost all entire Europe is Christmas is a very big festival across the world. But imagine you are a European, you are a Christian, how valuable this city, this day is, and you're away from your families. So they declare a Christmas truce. Very, very beautiful. A Christmas truce was a time where it is okay, for some time we'll not fight. And it is such a beautiful poetic story of one, just a brave soldier coming out, and he just waved a flag. Everyone's about to shoot him and he says, I just want to share a Christmas gift with my fellow soldiers across the border. And they start playing football, and it was one of the best moments. It's a movie that spoke about the Christmas truce. And when they played football, they forgot their ethnicity, they forgot the religion, they forgot the nationality, they forgot the war, and they were diving and stumbling and preparing. And it was such a moment. And this is one thing that we learned, the Christmas truce. And when the seniors found out that the people were playing and becoming too friendly, they blew the horn, there were gunshots, and suddenly everybody had to go back to the trenches. I think there is no better example of SDG goal number 16, peace, unity, than this particular story. We are talking about this particular ball, you see, is still there. It's there in the museum in Germany, on a no man's land where they played football at. I was trying to show the video to you. Let me see if I can still play the video around. But what we see is this is goal number 16. Steve Jobs endorsed this particular book by Steve Pinker. He says the better angels of our nature. They say that today the world is much better than the time. Think of the barbarians that lived by. We just don't know how to communicate that to our children. We just don't know how to tell to our children. Today, there are better people. There are more voices. Yes, there's always violence. There's always a war going on somewhere in the Middle East, somewhere in the Ukrainian belt. But at least people are making sound about it. People are saying, irrespective, I don't want to be on any side. I just don't want violence. I don't want wars. I don't want killings. And this is the world we're living in. This, my friend, are the SDG goals. On the last part before we break and we'll ask you your SDG goals and have a little game, India was awarded for what we call the Goalkeepers Award. The goalkeeper, the global goalkeeper is, we're talking football. So every year, one nation is picked up for some tremendous work they've done in the SDG goals. And India got the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Remember the hygienic toilets that we did? Bill Gates, he's part of the United Nations SDG, and our Prime Minister, right? He was honored with the SDG goal, and that is what we're talking about. We are talking about taking these goals and talking to our program. In fact, since our friend from Dhaka is here, the Sustainable Goal Program from Bangladesh has made one of the biggest leap in the South Asian region. So this year, after India was awarded, Bangladesh was awarded as well for the work they've been doing. So we can congratulate for Mr. Arifin. Sir is here. He's an IB teacher. He's a wonderful educator, and this is what we're talking about. Fair enough. Good to stop talking now. I think I love some of our members who have been here listening. What do you think about the SDG goals? I see Ashia ma'am raise a hand. I had seen sometime earlier, a lot of pointers, clues. Please go ahead. Did some of you learn about the SDG goals in a different way for the first time? What are your thoughts? Go ahead. Let's talk about it.
Good
I
evening,
like
Anand.
what you wrote. Yes, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Good evening. Actually, that was by mistake. I raised my hand impression over there. But
That's okay.
apart from
Good we
this,
hear you
yes,
now.
yeah, I'm aware of these goals, and these are not the only 17 goals, 16 goals. There are 26 goals which used by UN.
Yes.
Yeah, but it is good to be, implement all these goals in our day-to-day life, and it is very it is our responsibility, community responsibility to, you know, implement those rules in our life and in our society. So I'm very glad to listen and know about all these things. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I must add, she's a brilliant podcaster doing some great work for the queer community. And every one of you have done some amazing work across. So thank you so much, Ashia ma'am. This is wonderful. Pramila ma'am, how are the SDGs doing with you?
I've been a little, I've been on the back seat for a while, just a little.
But I think there's always, what we talk about, SDGs want action and we are part of it.
No,
That's
I
what.
just wanted to tell you something. I joined an
Yes.
NGO which is
Hmm.
catering to teaching children who are not able to go to school, and it's a
Okay.
pro bono activity. And I had to develop some content. I did that, and now I have to give a demo lesson for the teachers. And they've given me the topic of Holi. Okay, I was planning Holi, the legends and what we do, etc., etc. But this tells me this is a chance for me to talk about organic colors. This is a chance for me to talk about Holi is a festival of colors and not water.
Lovely. This is nice. And in
So
fact, then I will just add this particular slide that probably we could share. It's all about colors, right? So
yeah,
why don't we use the vibrant colors of SDG and talk about Holi? Pramila ma'am, perhaps this should be part of your Holi discussion.
Holi, yeah,
No, this is exactly what you're talking about. I last week I was in Coimbatore. I visited one of my bucket list places, the Isha Foundation. So I and my my wife Shazia, we went there and we saw such amazing tranquility, such amazing ideation, and there was so many organic ideas. There's so much of there was no plastic. There was it was like citizenship at its best, and I think all we need is what we're doing with our program, with our goals, is creating this awareness. I'll take this conversation further, and please keep chipping in. Today is like all GK that I have learned. I'm putting it across to you. But this was the festival they did called Festival Action. Currently, as we are talking about it, this is called the Decade of Action, and we are saying let's start talking about SDGs. Let's start educating it in whatever ways, whatever field we are in. SDGs are everywhere. So I pick up this newspaper, a random newspaper, and I said, just look at the headlines. Perhaps today's newspaper, unfortunately, are more negative than positive. In
that's
fact,
true.
Australia has banned having a negative headline on a newspaper. And pick up a Times of India, and you will not notice anything positive. Perhaps, isn't it true? Uh,
Yes,
I, I I grew up. I did my engineering in Chennai, and I think, and this time I was in Coimbatore. I was flying back, and I picked up a Hindu. And trust me, the difference I saw, the masala of Times of India. I'm not endorsing Times of India or making it bad, but there was an article which says if you read newspaper, your GK goes down. And I felt that when I read Times of India, especially the Bombay Times, when one day Tapsi Kannu will come and talk about world peace, or Deepika Padukone. By the way, I like that. But Hindu was so amazing. The vocabulary, the language of that newspaper was brilliant. So absolutely, this is anyway a part of negative part of newspapers. Australia has banned it. We have it. But if you look at this newspaper setting right here, there is something good happening somewhere. There's an SDG goal number 9. I remember this 9 is triple I's: industry, innovation, and infrastructure. There's so many conversation, and what I want is pick up a newspaper and go to the next class you're talking, or a group of students that you're talking to, and just use SDGs. If there is an ad which talks about fairness cream or women as being objectified, we can talk about gender equality goal number 5. or perhaps the war that every newspaper covers up. There's peace, justice, and institution, or there is a poverty idea. The point is, SDGs are all across. Now I come to my favorite part. Thank you so much. I read some lovely pointers, so I should read them. Angela, ma'am, you're so true. The Hindu and Indian Express have refined language, and actually, you enjoy if we've stopped the idea of reading because of the masala language that TOI gives, and TOI is India's national favorite newspaper to go to. It shows the appetite we are part of, isn't it? Sometimes instead of blaming the newspaper, this is the consumer that we are. They are doing what the consumer wants, and we are the consumer. Yasir sir, yes, I read about your sustainable practice, reducing waste, conserving energy. Yasir sir is from Ernakulam, Cochin, and India's largest eco-friendly solar-powered airport is in Cochin. So, you at least deserve a. And when I talk of clean energy, can I not talk about Soha, ma'am? Soha Kapadia, ma'am. Yes, please go ahead. Can I hear you?
Madhumata reads only Hindu. She doesn't read
See?
anything.
Hello.
Yes, Soha, ma'am. Hi, I'll comment on Madhu ma'am's. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, SDD goal plays a very, very important role. I had started practicing them while I was in my college back in 2018. And I'm trying my best to work on each and every one. As of now, I'm more focused on clean energy and sustainability as a part of an sustainability educator and engineer. I am mostly working then, but then I'm also wants to add that whatever we do, somehow that is related to these goals. So if you want to help someone who is in poverty, or if you want to educate someone, or if you want to make a climate goal, everything, whatever you are doing positively, it's somehow interacted to the sustainability goal. So I
So
think
nice.
either, so we are directly or indirectly, consciously or unconsciously attributing to that.
So well said, Soha, ma'am. Absolutely. The 17 goals cover up almost every aspect of philanthropy, good work that you do. And by the way, the slogans that you are part of, everyone's so excited. We'd love to have you speak about it as a session or a video you can put in the group, because I saw so many people excited about what the work you do in clean energy space.
Yeah, sure, definitely. I will do that.
That's so lovely. So taking a conversation ahead, and I love the inputs that you have. Yeah, Madhu ma'am, by the way, you should listen to Madhumita ma'am's podcast that she does with teenagers. No wonder she's reading some lovely languages and Hindu for the last 6 years. And now you know who the young people are. When Soham ma'am said she was in college in 2018, I really felt very old there. You see? So
Don't say anything more.
no, I wanted to come to you, Pramila ma'am. I can't stop myself talking about, but you are, see, the language here is yours. It says forever 17, which is what you are. Now, there's a small game that we play. Imagine if you could go back 10 years younger. What would you do differently? This is one of my favorite questions, even in a panel. I ask, what advice would you give to the younger you? The 17-year-old Pramila, the 20-year-old Madiha, the 21-year-old Avata, who's actually 21 anyway. So the question that we are asking is, and then we said, okay, this is called feed forward. We always say feedback, right? And feedback is a great tool. It's called feedback is the breakfast of the champion. Ken Blanket said that, but we never think of feed forward. How would I be 10 years ahead? How would my society, my surrounding, my friends look like 10 years ahead? So before I ask you to give me your suggestion to your younger self, let me play a little game with you, which is this. Identify these gentlemen who are older than they actually are. There's an app called the Face app. We use the
Okay.
Face app, and we said, okay, so we got a Putin here who's really
Messi,
looking very old.
Brad
Then,
Pitt, and the one on Games and Thrones. I don't know.
tell me the name now. Okay, so I know there's a Messi who's very old. There's a Brad Pitt who never gets older. He just looks the same to me, just the shade of colors have changed in his hair. Who's this young fellow that anyone, any GOT fans here? Game of Thrones fans? His screen name or his real name, he's a British actor. So he's Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage was a dwarf in Game of Thrones. I think he's a Lannister. I don't know any. Kalpana ma'am, go ahead. You want to share something?
No, this one was regarding that sustainable development. If the topic is
Please.
over, no, that's okay.
No, go ahead. No, it's okay. Please go ahead, ma'am. You have something called pure oil, and we love to know more about sustainable development.
Thank you. Okay. So regarding the sustainable development, I would feel that people should concentrate more on this water, say on saving water and all that, because we are going to a globalization where we are facing this water problem. So my personal aim is like I work on water, like wherever in my society or my neighborhood, I speak to people regarding water. Even in my society here in Bangalore, I tried to save water here by using my whatever wastewater, what cooking vegetable and all I use for my plants and all that. So this way I try to educate people around me. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, no, so lovely that you said. I spoke about Sadhguru's Isha Foundation, which I visited. There is a concept we started called Rally for Rivers. And, as an organization, I was very active in that. Now it Save the Soil. Not just the rivers, as you rightly said, the rainwater harvesting. Even sustainable development does not mean going around and changing the world. It also could mean, as you said, your flower pot in Bombay, that's the only garden we've got, the window pots that we've got, even that is sustainable. So lovely what you shared. Yes, Pramila ma'am, please go ahead. There's so many
Oh,
inputs coming in. It's nice.
yeah. What in when I was still a principal at that time, 2 years ago, uh, just before COVID, we had planned a vertical garden. A vertical garden, you pour water, then in a serpentine manner, we had arranged arrange the bottles. So the water poured from the top would go right through and trickle. It is something like a trickle drip irrigation concept. And finally, we didn't want the water, even a little bit of water, to get wasted. So we put some grass down below. And they
Lovely.
understood the concept very well. They brought those bottles and they cut it, they put the soil, they planted whatever had to be planted. They took good care, but the COVID came and killed it all.
No, let's revive it. Don't worry. We'll start
No, but
watering
I'm
our
not there.
ideas. Yeah, we'll start watering our ideas in imagination. But what I'll come to a lot of you, and this is it. This is a conversation I don't want to have. I love what Angela ma'am said. Angela ma'am, by the way, what you wrote about walk the talk and pulpits and principles can bring huge changes. So we have Pramila ma'am talking about principles, pulpits. The idea is use the chair, use the position, use the authority. If you are a chairman of a society, work. If you're part of a church choir, work. And that is what is required. And I love the way, I can see so many of us. Okay, hold on. There are few more face app that we've got. Again, these are people that you all remember.
Virat Kohli, Zuckerberg, and Trump, and Obama.
Okay. All right. So Barack Obama. And this is very interesting. So you put your photo in a face app and it'll give you how would you look like when you grow old. And a face app is of course a part of Facebook. So they look at your pictures and they say, okay, this man, would he shave, would he not shave? So they say Zuckerberg would never have a beard, but Virat Kohli already has one. So they create it. What is interesting is, this guy. So let's finally end with this guy and then Mansoor sir, we are left behind. I should have put some nice females also. They are taking away all the what is it? The screen space. Leonardo DiCaprio and my wife says he also doesn't grow older. The eyes are the same. I wish he had sunk in the Titanic before. We've got a lot of competition now. But this is interesting because Leonardo DiCaprio is one of the biggest environmentalists I know. He made a movie which won the Oscars called The Revenant. The Revenant was about the indigenous tribe and us losing environment. If you haven't watched the movie, it's a slow burning process, but I would request you to watch Revenant. This movie, I had a lot of expectation, wasn't the best part of it, but this movie talks about apocalypse where a meteorite comes and it hits us. It's a funny, sarcastic take on nobody cares about it. It's such a beautiful, sarcastic movie. It says a meteorite is about to hit the earth and only a group of people were interested to solve the problem and others were not even bothered about it. Don't Look Up is the name of the movie. Now it gets more interesting. We said
Come
let's
again. What's
use
the name? What's the name? I'm sorry
it
to
is called
interrupt.
Don't Look Up. It's called Don't Look Up. I'll share this presentation in a group, so along with the recording. So if you missed out on, so now what becomes more interesting is Earth was put in the Face app, looking at what we are doing to Earth in the current time, and the Face app came up with this idea: Earth will look dull, brown, dusty, deserty. This is what the earth will look like if you don't work towards the earth. And that was scary. That was, that is where we are looking at we haven't done enough. So there are a lot of conversation again around it. So please go ahead. I see a lot of raised hand, a lot of people want to talk. Please, this is where we almost, don't worry, we have a lot of, I think it's much heavier than the earlier sessions. Mansoor sir, you've been wanted to share something. Please go ahead. Then Kalpana ma'am, please.
Yeah, in a nutshell, this is about water conservation because it's a real concern because lately we had people fighting war for oil and gas, right? That was something precious commodity, and within next few years, people will be fighting for water. And believe me, in India,
Could you
it's at a
speak a
very
little
alarming
louder?
rate.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear me?
No.
What I said, is it okay now? Audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so like the concern about water conservation, because somehow we see a lot of infrastructure coming up. Like we are based in Mumbai, and I see a lot of construction activities and all. And I always ask the question: do we need it? Because somehow Mumbai is becoming a concrete jungle, and the natural cycle of rainfall, and the ground absorbs that water, and the cycle. So now we are so purely dependent on monsoon. Now, what Mumbai authorities will do, they'll start to curtail on the water supply, right? Because they don't have any other resources. So my question is to any authority that I could reach with, that why we are going ahead with such huge infrastructure which is not required, to be honest, which is not at all sustainable. So this is something disheartening, And India, next 5 to 6 years, the way the groundwater has been depleting, it's an alarming issue that nobody is concerned and caring about. So I wish to have an opportunity where I could really, okay, it would be a municipal approach like a single individual, but nevertheless, it will be recognized, So this is some
Fair
kind of
enough.
opportunity I want to associate with, really, with
Right.
all my heart.
Just rephrasing what you said because perhaps there was a little disturbance. But what Sir says, it is really disturbing, alarming depletion of groundwater resource. It's absolutely true. Groundwater is getting depleted. Faster than we can think of, and this is where the challenges are. What we are trying to do is we just trying to first address the problem. The biggest thing that we have done as humans on earth is the ostrich with the when the cyclone or the problem comes in, our head is in the sand. And if we can have this conversation in our schools in any capacity, this is where we want to challenge it. So this is what we are talking about it. And this is where we start taking the processes ahead. I just had a beautiful, I think Taranu ma'am just left, but I think she's doing great for water consumption. Her son takes bath once a week, and I think nobody else can do better than that. But he's one of my students there. He's appearing for his board exams through NIS. These kids are, we had this conversation with them, and they do. So let the next 10 minutes. I always value your time. It started with the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals. For 15 years, there are only 8 goals, and the world felt that okay, it's not enough. The next 15 years, they gave the term SDGs, what I keep talking about. It started with 189 countries coming together. Now, some few have added some goals that are part of it, but a lot of conversation has to be around these so that we can start talking about it. And these SDG goals. So today, if nothing, you are aware that there are goals around. And what can we do is the last part of how we are talking the conversation around. So let's say you talk about gender equality and you are a blogger, you write something, or you are talking about renewable energy, clean water. So goal number 6, anything that you can use. I am very passionate about life on land, so I talk about animals, I do quizzes around it, climate action. It could be any of these goals that we take a conversation around. All right, Angela, ma'am. Yeah, you live in Akola. You have a lot of water supply, so we allow you to do that. But today, big corporates are talking SDGs. Uber, Olympic goals, Apple, and a friend of mine works for a automobile company. He was in Copenhagen, Denmark, for a launch of EV vehicle in India. So they had a conversation in Denmark for India. Very ironic, but they said, "How many of you know the SDG goals?" They said there were around 200 salespeople, and 2 people raised their hand. He has a school in Pimpri, and he said, "I was so proud that I know my SDG goals." And the owner or the CEO of BMW EV, he said, "Only you two will survive, because if you don't know SDG goals, you will be out of work." SDG goal is not just awareness, it is career goals. When we go and talk to the children about SDG goals, today environmental, I did a small video, 1 minute, where he said, when there is an earthquake in Turkey or flood in Sudan or a forest fire in Australia, it's an environmental problem, but they need experts. If you're aware of how to solve it, you not only, solve the world problem, you also make money. And there's nothing wrong. Sometimes we don't relate careers with SDG goals. So these are the categories. You can take a snapshot of what I'm sharing right now. You could be in any one of these categories. So if you want to be a activist, it's group B. Quality education, gender equality, reduce inequality, where all the refugees are going. You could be an economist, an industry person. That's a group C. You could be in wellness. That's group A. You could be on environment, which is what Soha ma'am does, what some of us are working on. So it's easy to categorize, easy to understand, and then you pick up your SDG goals and you become. There is a Professor Jeffrey Sachs in Malaysia. Hopefully, I look forward to meeting him maybe by the end of the year. And they only have a college, a university on the SDG goals. I don't know when we'll reach there, but that's what skill ambassadorship is about. Can we become part of a larger conversation? There's so many things I would love to talk about. I would now, perhaps end the conversation because that's what we are here. We want to talk about 25 good quality minutes, talk about all the ideas we've got. I want to talk about this one girl. The girl, this is SDG goal. In tennis, when women are not paid, or in teaching, when women are, only women are there, but the teaching hours are longer. We are talking about simple SDG goal. We're talking gender equality. We are talking about decent work, goal number 8. You can use any of these conversations and start becoming an activist. But you're alone. I'm alone. What can we do together? That's what skill ambassadorship is about. We are doing a lot of work across in different fields, but together we form a unit. We form a voice. When we blog, we tag each other. When we meet, we are there. We support each other's work. I'm not in clean energy, someone else is. I'm not in gender equality, someone else is. And you see, there is this one child, one girl, and we'll do this conversation. This girl, remember this name as we close. Her name is Greta Thunberg. She used to bunk her classes in Sweden, right? That is where the word Friday for future came. It's a Swedish word. She said Fridays for climate. That's the word it's written. Or she stopped going to school. She said, you guys have lived your life. And that's true, right? I lived my life. What about my daughter? I've seen the snowfall in Gulmarg. This year there is no snow in Gulmarg. We spoke about the elephants. I went to a temple in Kerala, Guruvanvur. I think Yasir sir knows better. There were 100 temple elephants. I don't think my daughter, if we don't work for them, if we don't work for the poaching, anti-poaching, they will not see the tigers and the elephants and the animals across. It could be the plastic. There is enough plastic in our waters and oceans, the fishes will not survive. This is where we need to start and say, okay, what do we do? This one girl, she was called to United Nations in America from Sweden, and they said, we'll send you a flight. She said, I'm a young girl, I have a lot of time in my hand, I will not fly. Why more carbon footprint? As much as my daughter loves Taylor Swift to go to a 45-minute show, she used her private jet. And I started talking, I said, as much as I am a Swiftie, we spoke about being a Swiftie, but I didn't like this part of it. She's polluting the climate. This girl, she chose to sail by in a carbon neutral yacht. A Saudi businessman, when you do good things, good rich people join in. And that is what I'm asking. You make a noise, there are people with deep pockets who will come and support us, and hopefully we'll get them. We need them. We need good financial muscles also. A Saudi businessman said, I will send my private yacht to her. She sailed all the way from Sweden to America. And you can see now, the New York harbor, you can see Statue of Liberty behind. There were 17 sailboats welcoming her, each representing SDG goal. So next time you see Pramila ma'am going and she's helping us with the visa, we know who is going to welcome her at the San Francisco airport, for that matter. This is what my dream is. So along with that, there'll be a group of activists, ma'am, and when we talk about dreams and goals and hopes. And I end this conversation here, but open to all of you. Hope you learn something new. Hope you gain some new insight on what we are trying to do here. Madhumita ma'am, yes, thank you. I think she just left, but she joined in. She sailed, and this is amazing work. Let's sail together. Let's make a big difference, and we'll continue to iterate our models, our program, our books. But the ultimate work is we need to make noise. We need to create awareness. That's what SDG is about. This is the time you can applaud. There's a button out there which says clap, and I end my talk, and I will ask you to share your thoughts onto it. Oh, thank you, Safia. Our youngest member is also here. Yeah, hope and young people around. All right, team, what's your thought on what we shared, how we go about it? There's so much we can talk, but there's so little time, and that represents SDGs. Okay, questions and thoughts for the next 10 minutes before we close.
Yeah, can I say something?
Please, ma'am.
I'm talking from a teacher's perspective. One thing I believe in is you go prepared with the lesson. and you want to complete that lesson. But if there is an opportunity, never miss a learning point. Never, never miss it. I've shared this with you. Where is the candle? Where do you get the candle? The senior KG child told me, I have seen the candle, my mummy uses it, the wax. I was talking of the wax, not the candle. Where do you find the wax? He said, my mama uses it. So there is so much of correlation. The children know the things, and I think learning moments are not to be missed. Be alert, pick it up right there. It will work.
Very well said, as always. I'm a fan of yours, but so beautiful that we are always constantly learning. And I think, I don't even need to add what she said. She said so beautifully. Perhaps when we teach our children, I see that I'm learning so much from them. And we'll
Yes.
take these SDG goals one by one in the next few sessions. I'll ask some of you who are working actively in particular goal to split up and talk. But that's what we're going to do from next week. Every one of you will present something on these goals. So yes, Pramila ma'am, what very beautifully added. Uh, I went to check Dorothy ma'am your pictures. Maybe I'll put it across after the session. Some of you shared
Yeah.
a lot of work together. Beautiful. I can see some lovely session that you took. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see the message after that. Okay, Angela ma'am, I saw the YouTube also. Fantastic. Lovely. Okay, thank you. All of you put a lot of work by the time I was speaking. I hope you're listening to me also. I guess I see a food farmer reel also, Madhya ma'am. Thank you. Let's quickly wind this. It's not the amount. I don't have to finish at 1 hour only. It's 45 minutes. You've been very patient. Thank you so much, all of you. Any questions, any suggestions? Let's take it forward. And you're halfway down your skill ambassador certificate, which is valuable to me as part of the Skill India program. But it's just the learning that is more valuable. Avataf ma'am, yes, go ahead. We haven't heard you today.
Yeah, I would like to add, like, as we have so many goals and we have 12 months in our hand. So, being as a skill ambassador, we can start our own range of celebrating each goals, and every one of us will create an awareness on that goal uniformly on a social media platform. So, we will make a noise in a same way, like as a team. That's the only input I would like to add in.
I love this
What
idea.
a very
Beautiful.
lovely
Yeah,
idea.
goal of the month. It could be like a goal of the month.
All right, so we'll take this conversation ahead as we do. Madhumita ma'am, please, yeah, we would love to hear you also. Where are you? I hope you're not jogging. I didn't see you, Madhumita ma'am. She's in a Dubai Cornish.
No, no. Yeah, can you hear me, Howard?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you so much. Because there was a little glitch on my this thing, and the battery went off, so I had to immediately bring a charger. So anyway, this is the most exciting because I have started working on this long back with my students, and I hope that this is the platform which we take forward. And a little bit thing which I personally, which have started. Three things which I like to share is I've stopped drinking coffee in a takeaway. Okay, that's number one. And I go to Dubai Mall and I stand to wherever coffee shop and I say, can you not take this and just have a cup of coffee? Like use a cup and saucer rather than take away. I see hundreds and hundreds of people just walking in the morning with a cup of coffee. I may probably talk to two of them, and whenever I can, I tell them that avoid this. The second thing which I do and which I tell, it's very odd when people look at me. Why are you even telling this? That why do you want to use the tissue paper which is there in the washroom as if it's free? You keep taking and pulling the tissue paper as if you're going to wrap it around yourself. Why don't they take a old fashioned handkerchief or napkin? So I mean, this is annoying, but I do it constantly with all my wherever I go. But one thing which I'm very proud of, which I say this, my 100 interviews which I take, I just ask one question at the end of this, that what is that one thing you do for your planet? So they are not taken, we don't give the questions in advance. So they are always thinking, what do I do? But they then at least think and they come up with some answer. I think that itself it tells that, yeah, a seed is sown. I think that's where, and we are always working for some or other cause wherever it is. Thank you so much for involving, and I'm definitely going to champion this because I've been working on this.
Lovely thought. I think Dubai had done this global goals last couple of years back in the COVID, and so beautiful. I think these small things matter. What you just said, I was reprimanded the other day. I don't know how else do you drink coconut, Pramila ma'am, without a straw, but I was told you're using a straw and you're talking about SDG. We do
Yeah.
these corrections, and I felt so proud that somebody has a right to correct me, and I realized, okay, I should carry my own straws or use metal ones.
Uh,
One more that dip, the tea. I've stopped drinking that dip wala jo chai hota hai na, that's full of microplastics. It is too
Ah,
sweet
okay.
and to brew the tea, but I've told that this I'm not getting inside my house, however convenient it is. No dip for me. The amount of microplastics, unless it is that new kind of packaging, which is little costly, but it is dissolvable
And yes,
sugar.
and when consumers stop, the companies take notice. So
Yeah.
please join the anti-coffee brigade with Madhu ma'am. But it's true. What I always use the lighter part, but true. So ma'am, you had to say something. Go ahead. So we'll
uh,
we'll take last two calls. Yeah, please.
yeah, so I was just thinking that we all are somehow contributing to our SDD goal in one or the other way. It would be great if we could wrote down in the group itself at what goal we are working and how we are working. Maybe a small example has they have shared right now, so that we can also adopt from someone else and we can try to be the umbrella of all the SDG goals.
Lovely thought, and I think I'll close our conversation on this thought. I'll send a snapshot of the four categories we have created. You can choose the category you're working in, and hopefully, when we meet again next Thursday, I will request one of you to take up a small slot we call the feature slot, where you talk about one work you've been doing in that SDG. So, we'll divide ourselves into 15-minute slot, and we'll have the core presentation of a skill and an SDG. And on that note, I think, as always, the last words has to come from Pamela, ma'am. Yes,
No,
ma'am,
no,
the
no.
floor is yours.
I have nothing to say. I enjoyed the session today.
Thank you so much.
It was a lot of food for thought. And what I wanted to tell you is I'm going to Bhutan on Saturday, and I'll be coming back only on the 10th. So I won't be available for the next week's sessions.
Oh, Pramila ma'am, I'm also going to Bhutan. I'm going from 9 to 15.
We're already connecting the world, guys. Look at that. Okay, so what are you getting, both of you? What are you getting from us, for all of us from Bhutan?
Bhutan is the way to go for all sustainability purposes. We will get a lot of ideas how
Have a
they are.
lovely time, and please make sure you send us a Bhutan picture so we really feel bad about ourselves staying here. But we'll see you all once you come back.
It's a carbon free country, I believe.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
Yeah. So
lovely.
let's
It's
So,
the only carbon footprint, carbon free country, yeah,
yeah.
in the world.
so
And
lovely.
ma'am, when are you going?
Okay, hold on. I'll take the conversation offline. Otherwise, we'll all feel bad about our vacations. I'll put a small poll on the group where if all of us, at least a lot of us, are not there, then we'll postpone our meeting for the next Thursday one. But officially, let's close. People have been very patient, and we always ask ourselves. Madhu ma'am, Pramila ma'am is on the same group. Go ahead, find the same hotel. Go enjoy your non-takeaway coffee in Bhutan. Until then, bye bye, Turthi ma'am. Go ahead. You wanted to say something? That will be the last words. Bye from my end, everybody. Good day.
I like the idea of, I don't remember the name, that yes, we should work on. We have 12 months, so we can work on maybe two or maybe one SDG goal. And
That's Soha ma'am. Yes.
and being in the same line as Pramila ma'am, I am also not available from 4th till 13th of March. I'm going for spiritual